What were there any reactions when you had that change, either from family, friends?
I think we were all vegetarian first, right?
So kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, gradual.
Well, you know, I mean, we all get, you know, well, what do you eat? Don't we?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Where do you
That's
get
the
your
thing.
protein?
Right,
Yeah,
all
all
those
those
questions. And, you know, I had the same thing happen. My parents were worried about just that, like nutrition. And then when I started to get into activism, which I'll talk about in this presentation, you know, they were a little concerned, like, oh, she's going to become one of those radical activists. I guess it depends on how you look at it. But yeah, so I still always think of radical. You know, people often were here in the church hall, refer to Jesus as a radical, that he was pretty much about changing society as well. So I kind of think of veganism as having that root. So it's far-reaching, gets to the fundamental underlying nature of something. So that's what I'm talking about. So the radical vegan wellness, this is, I do group counseling, I do private counseling, wellness jumpstarts for people that want to go vegan but don't know where to begin. I do a comprehensive overall, so it's not just about the food. It's a program that incorporates a plant-based diet, physical exercise, stress management, holistic health care, and social engagement. And I think what you're doing here is part of that. So it's probably going to be all familiar to all of you. But really, all of those things together to create healthy relationships, homes, and ultimately communities, and spreading that message as much as we can. And this is from a cooking class that I taught. So the first pillar, or there's 5 pillars, I should say, and these are the 5 that I'm going to be talking about. The first one is the whole foods plant-based diet, and I'll explain what I mean by whole foods. Physical exercise, stress management, so natural health care, so holistic is kind of looking at the whole spectrum of health care. And the last one is social engagement, how we interact with each other as well as family, friends, community, co-workers, etc. And so as I go along, feel free to ask questions. I will, as I said, this is the first one, the first time I've done this presentation, so I'm not sure what we'll end up discussing, but we'll use this as a guideline. So, whole foods plant-based diet. And these are some examples of the kinds of foods that I make. I think some of you were saying, like, people were thinking, oh, vegan's boring, how do you get your protein, where do you get your nutrients? That sometimes is the reaction. So I try to go completely against what people normally think of as vegan food. I like food that looks beautiful, visually has colors, so I think of color, taste, and texture. Those are the 3 things I think of when I prepare food. So if you look at the bottom right, you have the vivid colors of fruit, and it's a really simple meal, simple dessert. It's a date nut crust, so there's no refined sugar. All it is fruit that's arranged in that pattern, so it's really fun to just create something that looks beautiful. The contrasting colors like red and green, yellow and blue, that's vivid, they pop on your plate, they make somebody want to dig in. On the top right, again, trying to play with those colors, and that's a spring quinoa salad. And all these recipes are in my cookbook that I have with me as well.
Is that fiddlehead?
Exactly, so yeah, when they're in season, I love to use wild things, I love to use what's fresh and local, so yes, fiddlehead ferns in there, and I think I have some red pepper on there, and then it's garnished with some edible flowers, those are some pansies.
I like that.
Yeah, and then over on the left is, those are called besan cakes. They're made with chickpea flour, so there's no refined flour, it's actually made from chickpeas. And then I have lentils on top of that with some fresh herbs. I can't remember what I put on that. But, and then since I like things spicy, a little bit of sriracha sauce on the plate there.
I like that too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so I try to do that, make the food look visually appealing, and it's also usually when it's vibrant in color, it's going to be loaded with vitamins and minerals, so it's really good for you, and people are often surprised that healthy food can look so good. So that's like what I start with. And the reason why you want to stick with the whole foods, so I try to minimize processed foods when I eat, stick with the as close to the whole food as possible because they're high in fiber. So fiber is really important because it eliminates the plaque buildup in arteries, so it's going to help with your blood flow, help with your any cardiovascular issues. It cleanses toxins from the digestive tract, and then it feeds the good bacteria. Are you familiar with probiotics and the good bacteria? Yeah, so we need healthy bacteria in our digestive system to help digest and keep us healthy, to have a strong immune system. Phytonutrients, so phyto just means plant, those are the nutrients in a plant that work together, they reduce inflammation. Most of our diseases, like everything that I was experiencing, the congestion, the headaches, the fatigue, all of that was because of inflammation, because of all the junk food that I was eating. When you eliminate that from your diet, you can reduce your inflammation. They act as antioxidants, so that means it's going to repair any damaged cells. I had a lot of cell damage, so thank you for saying the nice compliment of I don't look like I'm 50 or about to be 50, but when I was turning 30, I probably looked worse then. I probably looked like I was 50 then. I look at photos back then. I don't have a before and after photo of me in here, but yeah, I was a mess. And also eliminating meat, dairy, wheat, and sugar. Those are the most common inflammatory foods. So if you ever feel like you're, tired all the time, congested, you have arthritis, even rashes, all of that is due to inflammation. You eliminate those from your diet and you can dramatically improve your health. And these are the superfoods. So I always have this list and say, this is what you want to be eating every day. I consider this my pantry staples. Anyone eat these foods?
Mm-hmm.
Try to, yeah, good. Yeah, and I have problems keeping up with it all the time too, but I try as best as I can. This is like really, you can even print out this list, put it on your refrigerator and say, check off every day, make sure you eat it. So the cruciferous vegetables, that's the brassica family, so it includes broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, turnip, radish even, they all have properties in them that they're cancer preventative. Again, all of these boost the immune system. Dark leafy greens, really good for that. And I love collard and kale. I've got some growing, starting small already, but in my garden. Bitter greens, they help detoxify the liver. And the liver is really what keeps us healthy and keeps all those toxins out of our body. Berries, especially if they're fresh and local. Strawberries are starting to be in season now, so it's great to have fresh strawberries, but if you can't find fresh, you can do frozen or even dried, like dried cranberry and goji berry. They're all really good. Natural antibiotics, good to have all the time, fresh garlic and ginger. They boost the immune system. If you ever feel like you're getting sick, have fresh raw garlic. If you feel like you're nauseous or problems with digestion, have some fresh ginger or make a ginger tea because it's very powerful. Mushrooms are high in antioxidants, they're high in protein, and they also have cancer preventative properties as well. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and even apple cider vinegar. Make sure you get the cloudy apple cider vinegar by Bragg's. Helps with digestion. And then nuts and seeds. So these are some superfoods. You don't need a lot. I throw some on my cereal every morning, some ground flax seeds and chia seed, hemp seed. I'll have some walnuts too on there too, berries every morning. And then I'll even throw some spices on there. So spices are really good with reducing inflammation, improving blood flow. Each one of these has different properties. Does anyone have an herb garden or like fresh herbs?
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the fresh herbs.
Okay, you enjoy the fresh herbs, yeah. They're so easy to grow, and I've got like right here is my mint and lemon balm tea that I take with me. It's helps with digestion and also is relaxing, so it helps me if I'm stressed out. But yeah, herbs are great to have fresh. So that's like the diet aspect. Those are some of the things that I do on a regular basis that I recommend for health. Anyone follow those or have any other tips?
I thought so, yeah,
You do-
those are the top.
You
those
do
are the
all
good
that?
ones,
Yeah. Do
Those
you-
were just like examples, right? Because I didn't see spinach up there, and I love spinach.
Right, there's so many other things. That would be a good dark leafy green too, Swiss chard as well, yeah.
And I'll just make one point that if you do get dried fruit, make sure there's no added sugar in it.
Yeah,
It's very hard nowadays to just find dried fruit or just
you
roasted.
could dehydrate your own,
You know, but
if you have
if the-
dehydrated,
yeah.
that's a good
In
idea
fact,
too.
when I,
Go ahead.
we have a dehydrator as well, it's great, but just check because there's so much sugar that they stick in products.
Yeah,
And it's not good for you, because that just throws your
it's
whole
true,
system
the
off.
inflammation, yeah.
Do you
Sorry.
drink the cider apple?
I don't drink it straight. I know some people do. I just put like in that tofu salad that I made. It had the apple cider vinegar in there. It perks up flavors. And you know, I just do it like that. It's like to lift the flavors of something.
What about
Some-
tea? Would you put it in tea?
So some people will say, you know,
The
put it
ginger tea?
in with water. You know, if you don't want to drink it straight, and it's supposed to help with that, like just boosting your immune system. If you feel like you're getting sick, some people say drink some apple cider vinegar, or sore throat, gargle with apple cider vinegar. All those things probably will work.
You can also put it in your salad if you make wild
Oh, yeah.
vinegar.
Definitely, yeah, simple salad dressing, yeah, most salad dressings,
Yeah.
that would work. So physical exercise, really important too. And that doesn't mean you have to, you know, work out, become a bodybuilder or anything like that. So basic things, I do gardening in this time of year, I walk my dog every morning, I do yoga every morning, and not like terribly rigorous. So as far as it's gonna be the next slide, I'll talk about the recommendations, but the reasons for getting active. And going vegan, sometimes just going vegan will help you get to the optimal body weight, but doing exercise helps as well. When I changed my diet, I was married at the time, my husband went vegan as well, and he was a big guy, 6'3", weighed 300 pounds, and he needed to lose weight, didn't want to go on a diet, never had any plans to, but as I said, I changed my diet, so by default, he became vegan too. And within 6 months, he lost 50 pounds, and he started getting his energy up, and he started riding his bike every day. He was riding his bike to work, and within a year, he had lost 100 pounds. And he was like down to high school when he was on the cycling team, down to that weight, and just, you know, feeling great. So it's really important, and the more you do, eat healthy and exercise, you'll boost your stamina, boost your endurance, your energy level. It helps with strength, flexibility, and balance, so I do yoga for that. And that just helps you stay focused through the day as well, helps improve your sleep so that you're tired when you go to bed, you have a restful sleep, and then you wake up refreshed. There's also research showing that exercise every day will increase longevity, so healthy while you're alive and live longer. And you don't need a lot, so this is just like a basic recommendation from the American Heart Association. 30 minutes of moderate aerobic activity at least 5 days a week. So you could say, well, you know, the work week, 5 days. I take my dog does not take a break on the weekend, so, you know, every day I'm walking him at 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. And then I do yoga for about 15 minutes every morning. You could also, instead of that, do 25 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity, so more like running. You could do, you know, working at the gym, rowing, things like that. It also helps to have some kind of strength building, so if you don't like the idea of lifting weights, you could just get canned vegetables, and I actually do that. I've done that before, just having like that movement, like that, canned vegetables, just keep doing that. And it really just kind of reduces some stress and gets you mobile and builds strength. And also, whenever I cook for clients, I'm lugging my stuff around everywhere so I can get workouts that way.
The other thing that I had read and heard from various sources is that if you're starting out at a low point in activity or you're not feeling 100%, And if you can do 10 minutes
Mhm.
and divide it up, and
Yeah.
maybe 10 minutes twice a day, and then do that consistently, and then work up to 15 minutes twice a day,
Mhm.
that's fine too. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's what I do when I walk back and forth, or a
Mhm.
long block and back and forth, and maybe I'm doing it slowly, but I'm moving, so
Oh, yeah.
that's the whole point. You
Yeah.
start from where you are.
Exactly, really good point. I have to remember that when I present this the next time, because, yeah, my brother, who's a year older than me and is overweight, and is not vegan, he, same thing, like, I would say, recommend things to him, and he's like, he'd say, I can barely make it around the block. I'm like, well, that's okay, then just go halfway around the block and then take a rest,
Right.
and, yeah, so do what you can, exactly. So third pillar, really important. Does anyone have stress in their life? I know, and I wish I could say, here's how you make it go away, but, yeah, we know it doesn't go away, so that's why the key is stress management. How do you manage that stress? And this is a photo over the winter when most people are feeling really, dreary from the seasonal affective disorder. Snow is on the ground. And I just look at the birds. The birds make me happy. I've got a bird feeder in my backyard, and maybe that's another thing I do for the animals. I feed the birds, and to me, I just look out the window when I'm washing dishes, and I can feel that stress melt away. So little things that you can do for self-care are really important to manage stress every day. This is a quote from Toni Morrison. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal. I know the world is bruised and bleeding, and though it is important not to ignore its pain, it's also critical to refuse to succumb to its malevolence. So yeah, there's so much, as we know, going on in the world that unfortunately we don't have control over. We do what we can within our own circles, but the most important thing, the only thing we can really control is our self and our energy and what we project into the world. So that's why the creative self-care is really important. On a daily basis, I always recommend doing something that you enjoy every day. These are some ideas, things that I've done, and some that I do regularly, some that I do once in a while. But for me, having a daily mindfulness practice, and I think, at the beginning of this meeting tonight, you were talking about that mindfulness. So really important, meditation. Does anyone meditate? Yeah, I've been doing it. So I got divorced, and going through that process 15 years ago, I started doing meditation to help deal with all those emotional problems. And that helped settle me and focus me then, and I just was like, I'm gonna just keep doing it. So every morning I start with 15 minutes of meditation, followed by 15 minutes of yoga. But Qigong, Tai Chi, any of those kind of focused, mindful and physical activities are really great, because they do keep you centered. Journaling is another practice that I've done. Does anyone journal? Okay, great. Yeah, and there's different ways you can do it. One way I've done it is as soon as you wake up in the morning, just write down, like for 5 minutes, whatever's in your head, and that clears your thoughts. And then conversely, right before you go to bed, write down whatever thoughts are in your head. Does anyone toss and turn before falling asleep? Yeah.
I find I don't do it as often as I should, but when I do, I find that all the burdens that I seem to be carrying on my shoulders are on paper, and I don't have to worry about forgetting them. That's another
Exactly.
stressful issue. I'm gonna forget. No, it's on the paper. The paper's minding it for you. You can take it off your shoulders. And either morning, if I've done my journal in the evening, I wake up feeling cleansed and more ready to begin my day. So either way, both would probably work
Yeah.
best.
Exactly. The emptying of your mind is really the key. Creative expression, so whatever that you might do, everyone has creative ability, and it's a matter of finding what you enjoy. So drawing, painting, singing out loud to a song, playing music if you like to have an instrument, or even just listening to music, dancing, just anything to express yourself. It's just, to make life fun, really. And also it unburdens whatever. I find sometimes if I'm stressed out, I'll just take out my drawing pad, look at a flower, and then just draw, and then I'm just focused and I forget whatever I'm worrying about. And connecting with nature any way that you can, gardening, hiking, going for walks, smelling flowers, doing that, just that like brief moment of like connecting with something that's natural. And of course we all interact with animals, from your presentation at the beginning. So yeah, whatever way you can. I lost my kitty 2 months ago, and he was my de-stressor. So they just bring so much joy to us. And then of course, if you can, taking that moment to get away, to retreat somewhere away from everything, even if it is just for an hour or two. Oops, it's not gonna work. Hold on. Hold your breath.
You made it.
So yeah, going somewhere is, sometimes you need to just get away from everything. The fourth pillar, holistic healthcare. I already talked about herbs, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but this is kind of the idea of having a natural home, being as close to nature as possible, and also maintaining that mind, body, spirit connection, which I think many of you have already, I'm like preaching to the choir. But where you're just, you're not just focused on the food, but why you're eating it. So the ethical reasons of eating vegan and not causing harm. So the idea of ahimsa and compassion and nonviolence. So really making that connection. And I have this term, probably have seen that before, nature's pharmacy with an F. If you think about it, everything in nature is there for us to heal us. We don't, if we live our lives as focused as we can on health, and I know it's hard these days with all the pollution in the air, water, and soil, and even the food, no matter how clean we try to eat, there's so many toxins in our environment, but the idea of being as close to nature as possible and getting all of our nutrients that way instead of relying on medication, because I used to, when I had all of my allergies, I was taking allergy medication all the time. I was taking, things for headaches, and just like every little thing that happened, I took some over-the-counter drug for, and now I don't take any of it. And many times herbs can do what those pills do. Like if you ever have a headache, has anyone heard of Feverfew?
Yeah.
So you do. So yeah, Feverfew, just chew on a few leaves, headache will go away. And I already mentioned mint. Mint will help with digestion, so does parsley. Lemon balm that I also have here, it's very calming. If you get a mosquito bite, does anyone know what to do for a mosquito bite?
Witch hazel.
Okay. How about like right in your yard, like most,
No?
close to dandelion, plantain. So the
plantains,
plantain leaves, just take the leaves, crumble it up, rub it on your mosquito bite, and it,
Really?
yeah, mint also helps too. Fresh mint, just crumble it up and rub it on your mosquito bite. So yeah, there's like many things that you can do just, without having to do the steroid lotion or things like that. Does anyone do veganic gardening? Yes? Vegan? Vegan, organic.
Just
So-
were talking about that today.
You were.
Is it vegan
Yeah.
if you're using manure?
No, right, so this is the thing, and organic, I recommend, because it's not gonna have the chemical pesticides, it's not gonna have the herbicides, fungicides, all the things that are gonna kill the good insects, pollinators, bees and butterflies. So organic does not have any of that, but right, it also is very heavily dependent on the animal agriculture industry because it uses manure. Often there's ground up like bone meal, blood meal, fish, lobster shells, things like that. are used in organic gardening. So if you want to move away from that, veganic gardening is an alternative. And Will Bonsall, his last name is Bonsall, has a book that essentially is like the Bible of veganic gardening. If you have small, your own home garden, or if you want to grow a larger garden and feed other people. But it's essentially just working with nature, the, brown and green, the two things together, carbon and nitrogen, in order to create the compost, and you're just basically building up the soil, the humus. That's what's gonna grow healthy plants, and fruits and vegetables. So really good to learn about that and try to incorporate that into your gardens. So I mentioned the restful sleep, already important. Physical exercise helps with that. And of course, laughing, smiling, enjoying life, in Glendora with telling jokes, making everybody laugh all the time, helps with that prescription. So in the home, I often think, like, does anyone have a home where not everyone is vegan? Okay, and yeah, that can be a challenge. And that was the case, as I mentioned, my husband was not, and I told him, I need to be vegan, so therefore the kitchen needs to be vegan. So I kind of set that policy. It makes it easier if you can have a vegan home, for everybody's wellness. Again, getting to that foundation, getting to the root, maintaining only, plant-based foods in the kitchen, as well as cruelty-free products, so the wardrobe, so no wool, leather, or silk. And bath and beauty, no animal products, nothing tested on the animals, and that includes cosmetics and cleaning products as well. Really simple cleaning products. Does anyone know, like the easy, natural, cheap cleaning products?
Vinegar,
Yeah.
lemon, hydrogen,
Exactly.
lemon and hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, really, baking soda.
That's more natural.
Yeah, well, it's natural, so that's the
Yes,
thing, to
yes.
use natural products that are, safe and they're not loaded with chemicals, really important in your homes. It also keeps bugs away, but, using white vinegar. So I always recommend that, and mint keeps, if you have mint in your pantry, keep the moths and ants away.
Mice also.
Yeah, so,
What do you do with them? Leave the leaves or crush them up or what?
you could, just kind of like press them in your hand and just leave them there,
Interesting.
yeah,
We have loads of mint on our yard.
Oh, I have a ton.
There
Anybody
you
wants
go.
some, come to my house.
yeah. And so shopping, same thing, when you're shopping, to make sure that you're buying products that are very supportive, making that mindful decision of what you want to bring into your home, what you want to put on your body, what you want to feed yourself. And then also really important is conversation. So this is what I say, like, to be honest, direct, but kind with conversations. So it's difficult being the only vegan in your family, but if you can maintain that kind of ground rule to always have honest conversations, to be able to express yourself, but in a kind way, it's a challenge. And I often say that, like, no name calling, no, verbally judgmental conversations, but, to be open and honest as much as possible. So the fifth pillar, getting to the last one, is kind of what you're all doing here, that idea of social engagement, connecting with others, spreading the vegan message through community within your, friends circle as well as your families. And I like to have classes. I have get-togethers like this at my house. This is a picture of an ice cream social that I did, where I made like 5 different kinds of ice cream in the summer. It was a lot of fun with some friends. And really just spreading that message through the good food and connecting with others.
I'm sorry, you had an
Ice cream social.
ice cream social. Okay.
Yeah, so with an ice cream maker, made vegan ice cream.
Vegan ice cream,
Yeah.
right.
Do you use almond milk or coconut milk? Or
I use coconut milk and
Right.
cashew milk. Yeah,
That sounds
yeah,
delicious.
it was really good. Really
Really
good. So some ideas for growing, I mean, think about the vegan community is kind of like a garden. So you're planting seeds with people in every conversation that you have. You know, having that positive message. I think about being, you know, I say it's radical vegan wellness, but it's also about being a joyful vegan, to present veganism as being a very positive, joyful decision. So you're planting seeds in people every time you have conversations like that. Having get-togethers like this with vegan potlucks in Connecticut where I live, that was one of the first things that I looked for because I was the only vegan, so I was like, I don't know anyone. So I actually found a group that gets together once a month called the Northern Connecticut Vegetarian Society. And I went to their potlucks, several of them, and that's where I met other vegans. I learned about vegan food, and they have guest speakers all the time. So it was just great connecting with others that were like-minded. Extending it further, sometimes there's church bake sales or school fundraisers where baked goods are sold. You can bring vegan desserts to those. Make sure you have that big sign that says they're vegan. Have some really good ones. So yeah, just spreading that message in non-vegan circles to let people know that there are vegan options there. And several of you already mentioned like making gifts to animal organizations, but you know, if you have a special birthday,
Yeah,
like my 50th is coming up, I'm gonna tell people, make a gift
we
to
did.
some animal rescues, so you can tell them, you know, spread the message of the animal rescue and veganism in the same way. Food pantries, you can donate vegan food. If you have a garden, you can do the grow an extra row, so you have extra produce that you set aside that you can give away to food pantries. Community cooking, I volunteer with Food Not Bombs. Anyone familiar with that organization?
Sorry, what was that again?
Food Not Bombs, yeah, so you are. So we get together, it's once a week. Restaurants and grocery stores often throw away produce that is either expired or doesn't look good. So we glean it, we collect it, instead of it getting thrown into the dumpster, we collect it and then prep it, and then on Sundays cook the food and give it away to people on the street. It's in Middletown, Connecticut, where I volunteer. So whoever happens to be in need of food, they stop by the table and get some vegan food. And library and school presentations, has anyone ever done a presentation? Because that's something that I recommend, is just libraries, any town member can just, you know, request a room. At least in Connecticut where I am, they're free for a free event, and you can just have a presentation and, you know, share the message of veganism with people. And then Meetup Groups, does anyone belong to meetup.com?
I do.
You do. Anyone find organizations? Did you find any vegan organizations that way?
Yeah, that's pretty much why I did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's, so where I live now, I've been there for 2 years, and when I first moved, I wanted to meet other vegans in the area. So I joined meetup.com, typed in vegan, there was no group, so I thought, okay, I guess I'll create one. So that was 2 years ago. I created it's called Vegan Health and Wellness, and now there's over 1,000 members. And we get together once a month, not all 1,000 of us, but there's usually about 20 or 30 people, and some different people each month, doing things like this, potlucks and movie screenings. I'm going to be hosting a screening in a couple of weeks. There's a new documentary called The Last Pig. Has anyone heard of that?
Well,
So The Last Pig, it's by a man who was a small-scale pig farmer, and he got to the point, it was a family farm that had been passed down generation to generation, and he was just like, I can't do it anymore. He went vegan, and he said, I'm giving all my pigs to sanctuaries, and then this documentary is about that experience. So I show those movies, and it's very much bringing awareness like that to people. So this last piece is kind of what we're all doing here is